Hey, just bringing myself down in the world to match the frame. How you doing? Today's date is the 20th of September. It's 2023. Time for a stretch. Chat with Matt. Half an hour. Here we are on the Bright Light Beings Facebook group. Here to talk about whatever's going on for you guys and talk whatever feels topical based on our desires, I guess, our awarenesses, our inspirations as we progress. Very happy for any of you to write in anything as we continue. I can see Sister Michelle is here. Hello. And I've also recently just read the contribution that you made on the comments section of the notification post. The picture, for those of you who are interested, is at Pula in Croatia, which is up on the sort of lower part of the Istrian coast of Croatia, top of Croatia, top of the that big gulf that's called the Adriatic Sea. It's probably called a gulf as well, across the road from Venice, across the sea. A Colosseum, one of the best preserved Colosseums, Roman Colosseums, dating from whatever, 200 AD, I think. Not sure, don't quote me on that, I'm not very good with history. But anyway, we've been there, seen it, went down in the tunnels where the gladiators prepared and the animals were kept, etc., etc. Right, very, very interesting energy. He says interesting energy in places like that. And interesting experiences to go there and ground in some, potentially different energies. So we may as well start with what Michelle wrote in ahead of time. Let's see how the conversation evolves from there. Anyway, here we go. So, hi Matt, this is further to my previous question in the recent past. I've been practicing letting things come up and releasing them. Mind you, sometimes I have a discussion with my mind to let things go. That is very, very normal. My question is, how does the healing happen? If some of these things I'm letting go of are from past programming, like not good enough, there's pain associated with this, and I can feel raw inside. How do I heal this? Yeah, it's interesting, this concept of healing quite often gets entangled with the concept of fixing. And so we think to heal something, we need to fix it. As if it was like a broken cup, like my mind just went to one of those Japanese processes where they use gold to glue a cup or a ceramic bowl back together, right? I can't remember the term, there was a term for it. Where the finished product, why it's popular is the finished product is more valuable and potentially more beautiful after it was broken than before. Before it was a normal ceramic bowl or plate or cup or whatever, it breaks, and then they glue the pieces back together with gold, which of course is high in value and it looks quite interesting, and you now have the function of the article returned and its form returned, although now there is gold involved. But the point is that you are not a cup and you are not really broken. I know there's pain, and I know you've been quote unquote programmed with, we've all been programmed with, we've all got various belief systems that we are letting go, but really you haven't been broken. Hey, Sister Susie, you haven't really been broken like a cup being dropped and shattered into pieces. I know sometimes it feels like we've been shattered, but that feeling is not really the reality in the bigger picture, at least. So the point is, healing is not this process of gluing things back together so that you can function again. In our opinion, healing is a process basically of the same thing, of letting go of the pain, or at least letting go of the influence of the pain. We talk a lot conventionally about time will heal this, right? There's a lot of wisdom in that basically there's nothing you need to do, right? The grieving process is a process that you just have to go through. It's painful, and yes, you do feel raw inside, but again, nothing's broken. You can say, oh, my heart is broken, but your heart's not broken. You're basically feeling the loss of something you became attached to, nothing structurally has been broken, and nothing really needs fixing other than allowing yourself time to let go of that disappointment, to let go of that sense of loss, to let go of that, sense of brokenness. So the healing happens basically through acceptance. If you want the short answer, how does healing happen? Healing happens through relaxing into acceptance and allowing time to progress, right? Allowing yourself to come back to focusing on what you're choosing for yourself, and to not need to suppress the rawness and the pain that you're feeling, nor allow yourself to become the pain or the rawness that you're feeling, but to rather maintain an empowered attitude towards the pain, where you recognize that the pain is the process of healing. The pain is the process of releasing these potentially atrocities that happened in the past, or the ways that you were programmed in the past, right? And many times, of course, the two marry up. The way that they were able to program you with such a strong sense of not good enough was through torturous experiences, right? Not necessarily strapped to the table and tortured, but not denying that potentially happened as well. And of course, there's potentially multiple experiences that have gone into developing and reinforcing the program of not good enough, that are holding pain in your field. Hey, Sister Margaret, holding pain in the field, and are quote unquote responsible or attached to the pain, or the pain's attached to that experience. And as we allow ourselves to go through a healing process of releasing the experiences and the programming that's happened in the past, of course, the pain that is now released from, because the pain is kind of used as evidence, if you like, justification that you were badly treated, that you were tortured, that you were abused, that you were even programmed. This pain is used by the smaller self, the subconscious self, as evidence and as reinforcement that we don't want that to happen again, and that this was quote unquote bad, what happened, and therefore that sort of locks this program in place with a layer of fear and resistance. And we're also having to suppress this pain in the field so that we're not feeling that pain too much, right? So we suppress the pain, we create all of these belief systems around what happened. Not that we can remember with our brain what happened, or our memory banks as this human in this lifetime can't remember these atrocities generally. We might get glimpses in our meditations if we ask appropriate questions, or if we do past life regressions. If you want to go down that path, I don't generally advocate doing past life regressions out of a sense of curiosity, because you can unearth things that you are not prepared to digest, right? Becoming aware of things before you are sufficiently confident in yourself to digest these experiences, truths, awarenesses, whatever you want to call it, is potentially not so beneficial in the longer term. Well, in the shorter term. In the long term, it's fine. Everything will work out. But in the shorter term, you might not be ready. Michelle said, I'm mostly dealing about childhood issues. Yeah. And most of our childhood issues are basically reflections of past life issues. When we're children, we're very unguarded, innocent. And so the vibrations around us that we've sort of brought with us from the past very quickly and easily can manifest as a situation that represents, not in the same horrific detail, of course, but situations that reflect the core beliefs that you're bringing with you. So if you're coming in with I'm not good enough, then your childhood experiences will have been reflections of I'm not good enough. All the ways that you didn't feel that you met your parents' expectations, or the ways that you were rejected by friends and siblings, whatever, right? All of that stuff comes up, basically reflecting what you brought with you, not really as the cause of now what you're carrying, right? You're not good enough wasn't caused in childhood. It was reinforced in childhood, but it wasn't caused in childhood. So that helps. It helps a lot of people to understand that, because then we understand that the issues, which can feel really, really full on, were caused by more than just what happened in childhood, because quite often what happened in childhood doesn't really seem to match up with the intensity of the pain that we carry, and therefore we try to ascribe so much meaning to these childhood incidences, which potentially is not really fair, and it's not even really helpful, because then you think that all of this forgiveness work and all of this reconciliation and all of this quote-unquote fixing needs to happen around what happened to you in childhood. And really, if you take a few steps back and recognize that this has all happened many times before in other lifetimes, then you can relax through the childhood stuff and not put too much emphasis on it, and therefore it's much easier to heal that. It's much easier to let that go. It's much easier to find forgiveness around the various actors involved, your parents and other people involved in what happened to you in childhood, because you recognize that it was just a reflection of energies that you're carrying with you from the past. And that's not to say that what they did was right? We're not looking to justify, abusive behavior that we've experienced in childhood, but more to recognize that much of what happened in childhood is a reflection. And of course, when we've already got the influence of not good enough with us, then you have to remember our childhood issues is generally, a lot of it, our perception of what happened in childhood. And that's not, again, to say that it's all in your mind and what happened in your childhood didn't actually happen. It was just your perception of it. But a lot of things that happened in our childhood, we are viewing through our child's filters and cognating the experience from a very immature point of view, right, in terms of our knowledge of how we function in this body at that time. And it's been heavily tainted with this past life programming of not good enough or not safe or whatever it is, right? So getting back to how do I heal this? It's through relaxing into the awareness that time will heal it, and not to need to overly figure out how to fix things, but to rather just allow the rawness to be there and to accept that the rawness is part of the healing process, and it's not something that needs to be shied away from. It's not something that's going wrong. And even though it's uncomfortable and it's quite often destabilizing emotionally, makes it hard to operate in the world for a period of time while the energy is high, right? It is going to pass. It will always pass. The nature of the universe is constant change. And when we give space, when we allow ourselves to relax out of contracting around what we perceive as wrong, then things heal, things change, things evolve much more quickly, and things release, right? This process of releasing something and allowing all of the residues that were attached to that something, right? The pain that was attached to the concept, attached to the situations that you are choosing to forgive and let go, also will dissipate. But it takes time. It doesn't just go like that. It's not like, oh, I've just released that and now all of the pain's gone with it. No, the pain has to work its way through the structures of your being, which can be physical structures as well as mental structures, as well as emotional structures and energetic spiritual structures. It takes time. We are denser forms of energy. So with that density that we've created on purpose to live this life of polarity and experience comes this concept of time and time lag. And while you can go back and say, well, I'm just energy, I should be able to heal things instantaneously, in reality, well, in theory, yes, in reality, not so likely. That's it, because we are all relatively attached to this physical embodiment and the physical world around us that we play with. Feeling things are hard and objects and separate from us. We don't see this as a part of my energy that is manifest as an object that I'm relating to. We don't see that in our everyday life. We are very much programmed to this experience, which is on purpose and is not wrong. Yeah, we can create a level of awareness that helps us to ease the sense of separation between ourself and others, as self and objects, and give us a little bit more fluidity. But we're always, in general, most of us anyway, are going to maintain the core concept of separateness and individuation here on this plane, because that's what the plane is designed for, right? So that we can have these experiences of relating to things that appear as separate from us. And that's all designed around having experiences that help us develop wisdom. So, yeah, healing is a process, and really all you need to do is relax through the process of letting it go and allow time to heal the pain, right? Find acceptance around the rawness and don't make it wrong. Don't think that it's something that's broken. Let go of the concept of trying to put things back together, because there's nothing to put back together, because nothing has really been broken, right? The vessel isn't broken. It's just in various states of disharmony, forgetfulness, confusion, grief. All of these energetic processes are not really broken. They're just experiences, really, energetic experiences, which are all valuable in many ways. Anyway, hopefully that helps that. What else, my friends? Make sure I'm not behind. Here's my water. It's time for a refresh. You are very welcome, Michelle. Very happy. Thank you for asking questions that are helping me to deliver a point of view, a line of dialogue that is potentially useful for many. Susie asked, how am I? That's a loaded question. Bit tired, didn't sleep particularly well last night. We've had a few rufflings in the house. Nothing terribly unusual, I guess, all part of the process of young people growing up and whatnot, going through a few processes, experiencing a bit of pain. I've been dealing quite significantly with, dealing quite poorly, really quite significantly with hay fever the last week or so, which is, it's annoying, really. Margaret said, there's a lot of darkness on the planet right now. How can we best hold the light? It's just a constant choice, Margaret. That's how we best do it. We just make constant choice, really. You could call it affirmation, intention to be the light despite the fact that darkness is all around us. It's not the time to get caught up in, to get lured in, baited into, quote unquote, fighting the darkness, or we lose our light. We lower our vibration whenever we choose to fight the darkness. So it's just a matter of choosing to know that despite the fact that there's potentially a lot of darkness on the planet, I don't know if there's more darkness on the planet now than there has been in the past. I don't think that is actually right. I think there's more darkness being disclosed on the planet right now. Darkness is becoming more obvious on the planet. I will definitely say that. I don't think, there's more than there has been. So you could say there's a lot of darkness on the planet, but we could also say there's normal levels of darkness on the planet. It's just in our face. So recognizing that darkness isn't winning, recognizing that darkness isn't overtaking us, recognizing that we don't need to fight the darkness, and all we really need to do is hold the light. And then just consistently keep choosing to do that. Consistently keep choosing to hold the light, despite the fact that it's uncomfortable, despite the fact that many of us are being tested despite the fact that there are quite a few influential factors that is bringing the darkness out of ourselves, which is a healing purification process, just the same as the darkness is coming up in society right now because it's being healed. That's the reason, right? Yeah. Margaret said, meditate in the morning and evening, and sometimes in the evening. Maybe it is just that I'm more aware of the disparity. Yeah, I think that's very, very true, Margaret. As we become more aware, it is, as I've said many times, a double-edged sword, because we have to be willing to become aware of, we have to find the ability to digest and accept what we become aware of. And that is difficult, because as we become aware of a lot of the shit that's going on around us, it's very easy to get dismayed and concerned and worried and upset. And that's not helpful, but it's normal. So of course it's, it's an oscillation. There's no just straight to the point. We have to be willing to dance with, seeing this darkness, getting terribly upset about it, and then coming back to acceptance. And that's just consistency, and it's just choosing to do your practices and to connect in deeper to yourself, connect into your heart, and go back to feeling into the source of the light that's coming through you, both in your core and in your heart, and potentially through your inside as well, your divine mind, and recognizing that you are the light, and that the darkness that you are perceiving is coming up for healing. That's why it's coming into the light, coming to light. It's coming to light, right? All of this darkness, all of this problem, both personally in our own experiences and societal wide. This is the process that we're going through. So, yeah, it's the same for me, right? It's coming up in all sorts of ways. It's the same for my kids and family. It's coming up. So definitely, as Susie said, definitely prioritize practices to stay vibrationally up. Yeah. And also don't be critical of yourself when you go down. Don't be hard on yourself when you find yourself in grief or in anger or in hopelessness. This is a normal part of the process. We are dynamic beings. It's entirely appropriate to oscillate, to wobble through these experiences, and that's probably putting it mildly. Many of us feel like we're in a washing machine, right? We're chaotically being tumbled through this experience, this very powerful purification experience, and it's easy to get dismayed. The point is to maintain our attention on what we are focusing on, right, which is the bigger outcome, and trusting that solutions will arise as we hold the faith. And so, it's going to come up in all sorts of ways, physically, mentally, emotionally. This is the purification. And so, Margaret, exactly. Spending time outside does help. Spending time moving, doing exercise helps, right? Getting your blood flowing helps. Doing meditations help. It requires a balance. I was talking to my son last night about this. There's not one solution, right? It's about collecting together a bag of tools, basically, to help us get through. You can't expect just one thing to help. We need to find people that we can communicate with, so we have a form of relationship with people who understand us and get us, right? Because a lot of the people in our general vicinity don't, and so we can feel very alone and very separate. We need to develop a relationship with spirit that also helps. We need to use good coping mechanisms for our own physical body, getting the exercise, staying hydrated, eating high vibrational food, getting sleep as best we can without getting contracted when we don't sleep well, doing meditative or breathing practices, exercising, etc., right? As well as holding this mental perspective, right? Being strong with ourselves about remembering what I'm feeling is what I'm releasing. What I'm feeling is not who I be. This is an experience. This is not me per se. I'm not failing. Remembering that, I choose to accept myself. I choose to accept the experiences that I'm having, rather than getting contracted against it and then feel that you're failing and then get down on yourself for not loving yourself enough, etc., right? Or not being able to stay high vibrational enough. Compassion, being compassionate is very important. I've missed a bunch of things, so I'm just going to go back to where I saw M put in a comment. That was the first one I missed. We have spring fair at Leo School today. I am needing to be in nature a lot with all of the dense energy. Helps a fair bit to connect consciously to nature and ask it to hold the release with us. Yeah, that's really good. I agree. Getting out in nature in various different ways, whether you just sit in nature or whether you exercise in nature, both are really good to do. I do both. I've walked up my hill more than every second day the last 2 weeks because I basically need it. Sometimes I don't go so fast. Sometimes I do go fast and blow some cobwebs out, because finding a level of exhaustion in myself, getting my heart rate up, and then that actually helps me. It always has. And I can't run anymore. I don't do that level of impact exercise, but I can still walk quickly up a hill and get a similar experience without sort of running myself into exhaustion, which I used to do when I was younger. M said, I also think about the amount of light coming in so we can notice the dark. Yeah, I think that's also very valid. Very valid to remember. We're only seeing more darkness because there's more light available to see into the darkness. So, you can say there is a lot of darkness right now, but you can say that there's a lot of darkness right now because there's a lot of light right now. And I think both are very true. There's a lot of everything right now. It's a very chaotic time right now. And I think that's what's important to remember. It is just an intense time, and everything feels more intense. The light feels more intense. The darkness feels more intense. Our experience of the light and the darkness feels more intense. Our pain feels more intense. These programs from the past feel more intense. The desire to heal and to grow and to fucking make some changes in our life feels more intense right now. And the fear of moving forward and doing anything also feels more intense right now. Everything has been intensified, and that makes it hard to feel safe, right? Because intensity inherently feels dangerous. It feels uncontrollable. This intensity feels uncontrollable, and that always leaves us feeling uncertain. Susie said, yeah, a lot of dense energy and bullshit around everywhere, trying to keep grounded away from the fray. Yeah, and I think that's important too, is to pick our battles and to spend time out of society. Margaret said, my son is listening to whale songs. We talked for 2 hours yesterday, which is amazing. Our other son is coming to visit Saturday without his wife. 2 of my sisters called friends and cousins have written and arranged to meet me. People are coming out of the woodwork. It's crazy. Yeah, it's unusual, but I wouldn't say it's crazy. They all say that I am so peaceful for them to be with. It's odd. Yeah, which is odd for you because you felt outcast and even, outcast will do, by them in the past, right? You were seen as, in your mind at least, as the crazy one and the one not complying, and now they're coming to you because you found a degree of peace in this process, right? You've gone through earlier than they have, and so this is the role many of us in this community are stepping up to, right? We've gone through our processes, not that we feel complete, not that we feel completely peaceful, but compared to where they're at, it's obvious that we're ahead of them, and there is a sense of peace and there is a sense of acceptance there that they're looking for. And so this is what's happening. We're getting called on more and more to hold space for people, to reassure them and to give them some insight and to help them progress through this process, right? It's not time to say, yeah, I told you so. But the point is to feel a little bit, I think for many of us, we can feel a little bit vindicated that, all of this craziness that we've been through is worth it. And we will come out of being the outcast to being a leader. This is the irony of it, right? Is that we were outcast for, and not just over this last sort of pandemic and all the bullshit, but many of us have not felt connected to our societies, our communities, our friends very deeply our whole lives. And now we're going to find ourselves in leader positions where people are coming to us and wanting to be in our presence because we have things to offer them now. And we will feel very appreciative, even though we hadn't felt appreciated or even accepted for much of our lives. So this is what's coming, and it's going to be shocking for many of us. Many of us are going to feel, many of you guys are going to feel that you're not worthy of, not capable of, not prepared enough to offer guidance and support for people who are going to start coming to you. But the truth is you are, otherwise they wouldn't come. So all you really need to be is authentic and honest with these people, right? And tell them what's worked for you, and continue from that in that regard, right? It's not, you don't need to be a trained counselor or psychologist to help these people through. All you need to do is tell them they're not crazy for feeling so dissatisfied with the world, or feeling so angry that the world's not meeting their needs anymore. It's obvious that the world isn't meeting their needs, because it's this whole Ponzi scheme is falling down now, right? Where we've been told to keep climbing the ladder to find our happiness. It's becoming plainly obvious that the happiness is not at the top of the ladder. And so a lot of people are going to be angry about that because they've made a lot of sacrifices to climb the ladder, right? They've dedicated their life to climbing the ladder. And now not only is it becoming apparent that, you know, happiness is not at the top of the ladder, the fucking ladder's been taken off them in many regards. So, you know, it's going to be an interesting time. There's a lot of people going to be very, very upset in various ways, whether upset angry or upset grief-stricken or upset confused. There's going to be a lot of, you know, change happening for a lot of people, both individually and societal wide. So, yeah, it is going to. These are unusual times. I think that is probably an understatement, right? These are unusual times, and so we have to be okay with what's not normal. This is where we're moving forward. Normal and usual are nothing to cling to anymore. We have to be prepared to go with what is. M said the vibrations we are being will always be felt when we stand in it. I'm having similar experiences, not at all mentally, but just lots of comments of, oh, I feel so much better, for no reason actually, no words shared, or even the sense, no words shared even, and the sense is, sorry, I'm fucking shit house at reading. So other people are saying, I feel so much better, for no reason actually, no words shared even, and the sense is our connection is soothing them and me too. To hear these things is very nice. Exactly, right? All we really need to do is ground the energy here on the plane, and even we don't even need to connect with people in a obvious way. And we're doing our job, we're living our purpose. It's too. I was talking to my son last night about what our purpose is here on this planet of as sensitive beings, as conduits here, is just to ground it in. We don't need to necessarily talk with people. We don't even need to be in their presence, right? Our radiance knows no distance, and this is the point. Margaret said, being a cheerleader was never an aspiration of mine, but it's what I'm doing now. Yeah, and you don't even need to what's the word I'm looking for? You don't need to obviously be cheerleading for people either. Just holding space for them. Offering a space of acceptance is important for a lot of people, because a lot of people are feeling very wrong about themselves right now. And this a lot of guilt's coming up, a lot of shame's coming up, and a lot of anger around being misled themselves is coming up. And so we don't necessarily need to cheerlead them. We just need to help them find self-acceptance, which comes when we accept them and let go of judgments and hold space for them. And yeah, of course, we can cheerlead and coach as well. That's always an option when and if the opportunity arises. I feel like I've done my half hour, and I did set intention, 9:37, not to keep these things going on too long. So I'll end it there, my friends. Close it up there. Much love to you. Thank you all for inspiring a great conversation. Hopefully that's helping everyone, and most people anyway, who are listening in at some time. If any of you who are listening in at any time have more questions, comments, concerns, or requests, reach out. Just pop a comment on. I'll see any comments that are put on this feed. Whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook, pop a comment on if you need some more help, or reach out to me on email, whatever. Here to serve. Much love to you all, my friends. Bye for now. Bye-bye.